The only place I feel safe is when I'm outside the United States. I have lived abroad long enough to know that the cost of living inside the United States, Western Europe, Canada, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Australia is makes me feel weak and unsafe. But I tried to do a TED Talk one time for Fort Wayne, Indiana, where I was trying to say that it's cheaper to travel than it is to live in the United States. And I made a little video, but they probably, because of the mental bias of people that go on vacation. See, the problem is this. People go on vacation and they spend money like a millionaire for 2 weeks, and it costs them, it costs them more to travel than it does to live in their own country, right, inside the United States. Therefore, there's a bias that is a mathematical problem or a arithmetic problem, as my friend Rick likes to say. It's a problem because they cannot transfer strategically that they are on vacation and they're not traveling. Traveling is living in another country. Okay, actually, the word travel and tourism are two different things. A tourist is somebody that goes out for 2 weeks and tries to be a millionaire for 2 weeks because they live in kind of crap inside the United States. But I never feel safe when I'm inside the United States because the cost of living is so high. And I was trying to point this out to my friend today is because I said, you can't save money in the United States. I can't even live for free, okay? I live for free with my sister for, about a month and a half, and it costs me more to live there free than it does for me to live in Colombia. Okay, now don't get me wrong. Some of you ding-a-lings think that you're going to go in a lateral move in the same kind of cost of living as the United States and save money. That's not going to work. But there's 253 countries, and 25 of them are so overdeveloped and so expensive, like Germany, France, Spain, all these countries. But even then, you can live cheaper living in those countries than you can live in the United States. Now, you're never going to do that because most people that go on vacation are double dipping it. What are they doing? They're paying for the cost of living at home and the cost of living abroad. So they're double dipping it, and it creates a cognitive bias that they strategically can't understand that when you're double dipping it, of course it costs more, okay? But if you only have, as me, a traveler, and you don't have a house, a car, and all these crazy things that are just anchors and things that everybody's in a rush to have a bunch of things to impress a bunch of people they don't really care about. There's some kind of quote like that. But everybody's in a mad rush to impress a bunch of people they don't even care about, okay? And the cost of living is 10 times cheaper in about 225 countries. So there's a float over here on Eastern Europe, and there's a thing, but you can't even find any of the correct information anymore because they show these ways to hire people, and they quadruple the cost. Let me make it simple. On 80% of the planet, normal people working construction, working in coffee shops, earn about $15 to $20 a day. There is about 20% of the population on the planet that doesn't even have electricity. And then I was going to do a thing on tiny homes, and I was realizing they wanted to know the history of it. And tiny homes is actually more normal than big homes, okay? It's only in the United States where they have, even mostly just the United States and maybe Canada, where they have created these monster houses that are ridiculous, okay? People, when they came in Conestoga wagons and they were traveling across the country, they'd make these one little square houses with grass roofs and stuff like that. And then they would maybe add on another room eventually. This is normal, okay? What is not normal, so like almost everybody I know in Colombia, almost everybody I know in Mexico, Guatemala, Togo, West Africa, they live in one prominent room, and then they have these maybe bathroom, shower, and then a kitchen, and that's it. And then they do most of their living outside. The cost of living in a four-season country is very expensive, but the cost of living in the East has become so onerous that I highly recommend you escape. Okay, but if you want to save money, all you got to do is somehow get rid of the cost of living inside the United States, and then you can go live in many countries. It's like my friend Mark. He's got a place in Huatulco, Mexico, and he's paying probably $600 a month, and he's living the life of luxury on a beach. There's cruise ships come up, but normally what happens though is people go on vacation and they spend every day going on 3 meals a day of debaucherous eating. Okay, and you got to get beyond that stage of tourist mentality. Never-ending tourist syndrome is a malady that works against you when you're trying to travel the planet. They want to be a tourist 24 hours a day. They got a checklist tourist. I don't know how many people are absolutely crazy when they travel. I don't really want you to travel. I want you to realize that the cost of living outside the United States is radically cheaper than inside the United States. Almost 15, 20 years ago, I was on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, and I paid 17 euros or something like that for two Coca-Colas and a coffee. I was with these 2 Israeli girls that I met over at the Eiffel Tower. Life has become cliche expensive in the United States. So even if you gave me a free place to live, a free car, and gas, I'm not sure I can live in the United States cheaper than I do here. I have proven it over and over to myself. The only time I actually ever saved any money when I was in the United States is when I was with Mom Graham, and then there was kind of a trade-off. I would do a lot of her maintenance work on her house and whatever, so there was a reciprocity. Okay, but she gave me a car and she wanted to pay for the gas. So giving me a free room, and it's going to cost me more to live in your house than it is to live here. So everybody thinks I'm like begging. What I am is the amount of enjoyment that I get out of the United States is so minimal compared to the amount of enjoyment I get by living in, I don't know, Colombia or Guatemala or Togo or Nicaragua or Thailand or any of these countries. It's just not worth the money. The amount of money that for the enjoyment you get is not worth the amount of money. It's a very bad investment in the pleasure of life. Okay, but most of you, when you travel, what are you doing? You're going to travel so you can come home and brag about the trip, and you really hate the trip, but you get to tell everybody you went to this place. And that is the 2-week millionaire syndrome. It's the eternal thing. You all want to go travel the world, but you're not going to be able to do it because you're going to continuously be a tourist. And then you're going to make a checklist, and then all day long you're going to work at going on a checklist, and then because you can never relax, nobody in the United States can relax. I'll say that again. I don't know anybody in the United States that is relaxed. They are so uptight, they got to stick up their butt so far that you can just talk to them. I mean, why would I go through a drive-through at Starbucks? It's like pissing all over the money of the planet. I mean, but the whole entertainment in the United States is spending money and working on the house. And there's a life that's separate from that is community, things that are like church, talking to people, having a cup of coffee with one of your friends, that is no longer trendy. Okay, what is trendy is to get on the internet and be a troll and demean somebody. That is what the new world is about. Outside the United States, I don't hear people talking about getting on Facebook and insulting people. Inside the United States, people actually use Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok as sources of knowledge. You would think the overdeveloped countries would be smart, but they're not. Okay, but if you want to save money, it's quite simple. All you got to do is leave the West behind, as the Beatles said. What is it? Basically, it's a song back in the USSR. But basically it starts to say, it says, leave the West behind. The West is considered the Western Europe, and then when you went east, like China and stuff, it's called the East. Okay, so when they say leave the Western world away, they're really just talking about literally going west towards England, France, Germany, things like that. But the westernized cultures are out of control, and many of you are living paycheck to paycheck. You have no savings, and it's a cliche lifestyle where all you can do is entertain yourself by eating, playing with your dog, and you have no friends. I truly think there's almost a bestiality thing happening inside the world with dogs, because they're no longer capable of having friendships with people. And I'm concerned about this because it's become out of control on the whole planet. Okay, but when you are looking for your enjoyment of life by only your dog, only by eating, only by spending money, you need to get a life. Okay, so if you want to get a life, it's quite easy. You got to go park it in a country, but the biggest deal always is that you don't change countries, you change hotels, cost of living. So it is so radically easy to get on even booking.com, which is double the price of the normal room. So if I came to Colombia and I used booking.com, I'm going to pay twice as much. I actually did book a room the first night when I was in Medellin, and I was supposedly going to live in a hostel, and they gave me a private room for $10 instead of a hostel room, because they really didn't have a clue what they were doing. They just put it up there, and they wanted to have a cheap room, and they called it a hostel because more people would try to get a hostel, because the cost of living in Medellin is on a bend over, get sodomized pricing. Okay, but why do they do that? Because Booking.com, TripAdvisor, and all these companies, Agoda, that's their goal. They don't sell rooms at normal prices. They sell them at 4 times the price. Airbnb is worse. I have never had a good deal with Airbnb. Airbnb, the only advantage of Airbnb is you can get a kitchen, and if you have a family, you could probably it's kind of like a campsite. You can put 10 people on a campsite. You can put 10 people in an Airbnb, and it's more economical. But for one person, it's just out of control expensive. And I'm always laughing though, but if you want to save money, it's 100% cheaper to live abroad than it is to live in the United States. And if you don't believe that, you gotta really try to figure out the cost of living in each country. And I'll never forget, Travis told me he couldn't live in Colombia for less than $2,000 a month. This was like 10 years ago. And I sit there and I go, you must be buying prostitutes, guy. But I think he was. And the problem is that to have the exact same foods and situation as Colombia, as the United States while in another country is, very expensive. If I want to eat cheese from Europe, if I want to drink wine from them, but people that are on never-ending tourist lifestyles, that's what they spend. But truthfully, I wanted to write him back and say, so what you're saying is you're in the top 5% of people's income for the country of Colombia, and you can't live as cheap as the locals. They are basically proving you smarter than you. Okay. Trust me, it's really quite easy to live on about $30 a day anywhere on the planet, on about 225 countries. $30 a day makes you one of the richest people in the city. So $900 a month, and you are I never forget how many times people ask me, where can I live on $1,000 a month? And I say, just take a map of the world, take a dart, close your eyes and throw it. But that's not what they want to do. They want to go live on endless vacation, splurging, absolutely spending money like water, and then do it. But there's very few places on the planet where, like here, I don't have all the temptations as if I was in like the Poblado of Medellin, where all these girls are going to try to convince me to take them fine dining, and so they're going to try to act like if they flirt with me, I'm supposed to buy them a thing. It's a fool's errand, guys. You guys really, I don't know how many times I'll tell it, but of course nobody's going to believe me on this because they have only done what they've done and they cannot go outside their box. Everybody lives in a box. So 95% of you don't even take it into consideration that I could be living better than you at 1/10 the price. You don't even take it into consideration. It's humorous as hell to me. And I'm always laughing because some of you need to get a life. Okay, and all you do is you're spinning wheels. You're like this little, hamster on the cage, just spinning, and you spend money. But the cost of me to have gas in the United States is $20 a day. That's $600 a month just to have gas. So if I live for free, it's going to cost me $20 a day in gas. If I eat, it's another $10, absolutely minimum, which is another $300. So I'm up to $900 and all I've got is gas and food. And I'm eating cheap at $10. 90% of you are spending almost $30 a day on food. So $30 a day is $900. That's $1,800 a month just to exist in the United States. Okay, I'm here and you're not. Why not? But I get to eat out at restaurants. I get to sit in coffee shops and talk to people. I get to roam around and discover the new world. Well, you're there and I'm here. I'm here and you're not. Why not? Andy Lee Graham, 114 countries, been doing this for 26 years.